Hello, beloved friends. It's Friday, May 29, 2020, and this is 12/12 Awareness Moments with Kyra. You know, this is a powerful time we're in, and yesterday we talked about the experience of feeling the feelings that are coming through, the emotions that are moving through us at this time, and what is it we do with those. And so welcome Susan Rottenberg and E. Lopez Lockhart. And I want to invite us today as we take that lesson from yesterday of really experiencing and feeling fully what is moving through us emotionally. We are actually giving ourselves permission to process and experience not only what's within ourselves, but what's in the collective consciousness. And right now there's a lot of different experiences and feelings that are rising. Welcome, Carol Curtis. Glad you're here. And as we're in this, I want to invite us to understand what it means to be a spiritual activist in the midst of life circumstances at the level of humanity. Welcome, Diane Royal. Glad you're with us. You know, we get challenged by the idea of what is mine to do. Who am I here to be? But what is mine to do in this world? My purpose, and how do I respond to the situations and circumstances of my life and of the world? And there are a lot of things to be challenged by at this point. And yet, what I want to invite, that my particular path and what I'm teaching us in awareness and awakening is that we're here to be spiritual activists, and that is where the greatest power of transformation resides. Welcome, George Powaznik and Sheila Blake. Glad to have you all here. You know, this is a time of great disturbance, and it is stirring up all of our places where we have resistance, where we are struggling with what is existing, whether it be from the coronavirus and the lockdowns and the different opinions about what that is, or whether it be the George Floyd situation and the injustices of the world. They are ways that we are recognizing all the things happening at the human level. And I'll tell you that I know for me, like, I woke up with these waves and waves of grief today, of the awareness of what's happening. But what is mine to do? And how do I embrace and experience and propel myself forward in staying present at a higher level of awareness? Welcome, Gil Gallegos. I'll say it right. And in this journey, one of the things that I'm aware, I call myself a spiritual activist, because I believe that there are those of us that are here to call us forth and to open us to the awareness that at a spiritual level, how do I align with truth, live from that truth in a human existence? You know, Jesus taught us, you know, I have overcome the world. You know, I'm in the world, but not of it. And so what is it to recognize that we are more than this human person experiencing all these different experiences? We are first and foremost a spiritual being brought into a human expression. So when we begin to understand at this incredibly powerful level of cause, of going back to the level of where am I in my own conscious awareness, when I can transcend the circumstances of the human, to understand I'm here playing out as human as anybody else, and every one of us are doing that. And yet at the same time, how do I take that to a whole nother level of expression where I'm at the place of cause and I'm transforming life? You know, there are those that believe being a spiritual activist isn't enough, you know, and yet what did Jesus do healing? How did he do healing? He held a consciousness, an awareness of the wholeness of that individual that could not be touched by the human experience. When we open to the infinite side, to the divine nature, to the Christ consciousness, the light that we are, whatever name you choose to give to that, when we go back to the source of creative source, then we can no longer be caught in the pull of all of the human experience. And the pull is strong right now. We have all these feelings up so that we can release them and we can experience what is there. But then we go back to the source. We go back to the spiritual awareness to say, what is it to be an activist at this level that says, I am not going to give away my humanity to believe that has to be this way. I believe that we're here to create something new, something different, and it begins in each one of us when I spiritually activate the higher knowing in myself to come into a place where those experiences, those feelings that are waving through me, I give them their space, but then I return to what's the higher truth. How do I hold a higher truth in the midst of the circumstances? Let me just say welcome to Mike Brentari and Regina Andrews Duarte and Charles the Turk and Susan Berg and Keith Vivens and Donna Dillon Summers, Janice Gerlich, Kimberly Rosenthal, Kimberly Wright, Dave March. Thank you all for being here. This is a powerful moment. This is the time that we are called to be the spiritual activist, to open to a true spiritual awareness in the midst of the human experience. But let us not go out and just activate based on the human, because in that place we're just dealing with the effects. So there's a constant reaction to the effects that are around us, but that doesn't take us to the level of cause. How do I create peace in myself? So at the level of cause, I am a part of the solution to the experiences that are happening out here. And sometimes it's tough to create that peace in ourselves, right? Because we're caught up in this human level of existence. Welcome, Jake Campy and Amber Lonsdale. Glad to have you here. So what is it to go back to the truth? Well, we have that message that was shown to us by our way shower, Jesus, that showed us that in the face of that which appeared to always be throwing stones out at the world or trying to direct things at the level of the world, that return to that space of the Father and I are one, the oneness with all of creation. How do I come into that and find the harmony within myself? There are many, many documented cases now where we understand the power of prayer. And what is prayer but our union with the divine, our union with the higher nature of our own being. And so as we experience and go back to that place of source and become spiritual activists, we spiritually activate the higher awareness. We bring that transcendent quality. We choose to see the world anew. We choose to see ourselves as a place of this expanded peace and awareness of our oneness with creation. When I go there, then I begin to perpetuate an experience of love, an experience of love of the Creator for its creation, an experience of love of the unified field that is available to us when we choose it. This is the place where I can affect the greatest change. Welcome, Ruthie Freeman. Yeah, so great. So in the process of our opening to awareness, first of all, that these feelings that want to come through need to be released, but then we cannot go to a place where we're operating from violence to get more violence. That is not supporting us. And violence begins in our thought process, in our experience internally. How do I hold what is occurring in the world? And I come back, move into that higher space, into that place of knowing my oneness with God, and that the infinite side of me can bring forth a healing balm into myself. Not a bomb, a balm, B-A-L-M, a balm, a soothing, healing presence that knows that something greater is wanting to emerge, that anything unlike love is a call for love. It is a call for us to know the truth of our existence. Now, I don't want to continue the injustices of this world. It absolutely, I sobbed and sobbed this morning as I felt those energies. I've done that many times through this week as we felt the energies and experienced them, and I don't deny those in the moment. Yet at the same time, I know that the power that we have to offer the world is a power that comes from a unified field of love, from a place of harmony that embraces all, that invites us to begin to know this is a time for healing. This is a time for us to open our eyes, to take up our mats, and walk in the way of truth, in the way of love, in the way of light. And that begins in me. And I don't do that from anger. I don't do that from fighting against anything. I do that from expanding the field of awareness from which I am operating, where I feel my oneness with the divine. And when I feel that and I embrace it and I embrace everyone in that oneness, there is a calm that can come over the situation. There is a removal of the holding so tightly to the false ideas of limitation and lack. And so as a result, then I can begin to rise into a greater awareness in that moment that there is a unified field of light and love available here now. Some of us are here to hold that space, that consciousness. There are more and more and more groups doing unified meditations out in the world that are holding peace and harmony and love for everyone. Welcome Ruthie Freeman, welcome Jessica Murphy and Sandy Ennis and Linda Poole Kennedy. So we have the opportunity to become spiritual activists first and foremost. That doesn't mean you won't be inspired to take action. You will be inspired in the ways that are yours to take action. Yet at the same time, it begins with what energy and what consciousness am I holding as a spiritual activist, as a prayer, I don't even like to say prayer warrior, as a prayer partner, holding a consciousness of love and light and wisdom and grace, and pouring that out as the healing balm. Just like when Jesus saw people in their wholeness, he experienced them already whole and healed and vital and knowing the truth of who they are as a creative essence. We have the opportunity more than ever to hold that space within ourselves with the parts of us that are at unrest, the parts that are wanting to fight, but instead to call them into the higher place of realization. And in realization, we bring that into the world and we can begin to bless and ease the energies that are caught up in such angst and suffering. Welcome, Kathy Sue Sager, sir. Glad to have you here, Kat. It is every one of us have a calling right now, more than ever. Those of you on here, you are spiritual activists. I know who you are. You're ones that you care deeply about this world and about others, and you honor every living creature. And that's why I know you're on here with me. And I love you. And my heart is just overflowing with gratitude and love for each one of you, for all the ways that you're bringing that love, that light into the world. We are needed more than ever to hold steadfast. I said the other day that I'm an absolutist about truth. And that means that even in the face of these other situations, whether they're directed at me, whether they're directed out into the world, I'm still going to stay absolute about truth. Excuse me. And so I'm choking myself up here. And so in this journey, a part of what we're learning to do is how do I stay in that absolute knowing, holding peace, holding harmony, holding the wisdom that knows everything that is coming up and out right now in the world is for a purpose. It's for a purpose to move us to choose a higher view, choose a higher action, to choose love and peace and harmony in our being, to know that when I spiritually know the truth of this, that it does make a difference, just as they've found prayer supports health and life and wholeness. We know that we are called to be that Christ light, to be that presence for love, whatever name or knowing you want to give to it. And where do we do that? We do it in our own consciousness, in our own way of being. Then we get inspired to take the action that is ours. And I invite you to be so steadfast in that inner awareness, in that inner consciousness of love, that there is more love prevailing on this planet than there has ever been. There are more and more people that are meditating, that are becoming mindful, that are studying mindfulness. There are more and more people that are unifying together to make a difference, that are so deeply experiencing this so that we can clear and cleanse the energy that would keep us stuck. So I invite you, find the way that you can be a spiritual activist, to find the light within yourself, the love. Be as in the world, but not of it. So that what you can bring forth is that which is of the infinite nature, of the loving consciousness. I love you all so much. I am so grateful for each one of you. Thank you for being the spiritual activists that you are, for making the difference and bringing your light and presence together right now. And in all the ways that you do that out in the world, you do make a difference by who you are being first and foremost. God bless you, friends. Have a fabulous, fabulous day. I will see you tomorrow.